Have you ever heard the saying, never trust a woman who has something to lose if you win? I know this is super unpopular, but we have all been victim of the mean girl syndrome. And what we are going to talk about today as part of this Own Your Power Masterclass series is how to build your community so you have this vibrant career, not just today, but forever. So if you feel like you are being sidelined, if you feel that you are working in the dark because you're not getting good feedback, and that you know that there is information out there that you just don't have access to, and if you are not one phone call away from everything, from getting those questions answered that you need, then keep listening because we have got answers for you today. I'm Tammy Alvarez, the founder of the Career Winner Circle, where we empower business leaders to make a big impact. Love every Monday again. And Tiffany O and I are relaunching the masterclass for Own Your Power, which is a woman in leadership series. And today we are dropping some serious knowledge bombs on how to build that vibrant community. So Tiffany, I cannot wait to hear all the nuggets of knowledge you've got to share with our group today.
Oh my goodness, Tammy, this is an awesome topic for us to dig into because connections count, right? I'm sure you and I can both dig back into some of the big wins we've had in our careers and in our life and attribute it to someone who showed up just at the right time. And so just thinking about like why this matters and why it matters now. Women are trying to make big moves and the equity conversation is really big. And it's interesting to find that women who have stronger networks also have a stronger net worth.
Funny how that works.
It's funny how that works. So you can see why this is important to all of us, whether you're an entrepreneur, an emerging leader, a mid-level leader, or you're already at the C-suite. This is a conversation that reminds us all, hey, if you're about to get on the elevator, great. But if you're already up there, send the elevator back down, right? And help women to continue to build their
Don't be that girl, right? That we opened up with, right? So
Yeah, don't be that girl. So Tammy, there were three things in our conversation we were talking about that really resonated with me. And jump in anytime. One is to think about our power base, right? So as we think about why it matters, I'm going to start with our power base, our network of sponsors, our network of allies, and our network of mentors. Cultivating mutual benefit is really one of our number one strategies if we think about our power base. Offer value. So it's not just about what we're going to get and what we're taking from those that show up in our life to support us, but what are we able to give back? Right. And if they give us advice and they help to shape us, can we stand up and represent well, please?
yes.
If they've offered,
I think so many of us don't like to ask for things, but we're always willing to provide and to give. And so for all you givers out there, this should be easy, right? So give first, but make sure that you ask on the tail end of that for sure. Yeah.
I love that. I was recently in a conversation with someone, and I thought it was interesting as we started thinking about networking and building those relationships. They asked, "Oh, Tiffany, what can I do for you?" I thought that was a very interesting question. So, and now that we're in this conversation about networking, it's important to have that ask prepared. When you're about to go into a conversation or a meeting with someone and you're cultivating mutual benefit, if they ask you what they can do for you, please don't say nothing.
Right.
I'm good.
Be ready. Yes, absolutely.
Be ready so that they know how to give value to you and to make the power of your network just that much better. Okay, number two, let's be strategic about this. Those in your tribe, the who matters and the why matters even more. And so we have all, you talked about this on the front and the frenemies. I'll never forget, I used to go walking with two women. And of course, women, we think we're all here to support one another. That was my motive for cultivating that relationship. Well, key leader in the organization, we had a mentoring conversation. A key leader came back to me and said, Tiffany, do you know X, Y, and Z? Yes, I know them. And I'm singing their praises. And he says, I think you need to check your network. I don't think that they are a friend, a work friend for you. And here's why. I was really flabbergasted, but I was grateful that the leader had the courage to apprise me of what was happening in our network. So take a moment and take an inventory of your network, not just your digital social network. I mean, the real people that you have coffee with, you go on walks with, and that you exchange ideas with. If you're offering value to them and they're offering value to you, these are the people you want to take inventory of. Who are they really? And why are they a part of your network? Are they there to support, tear down, or give you a platform in which to stand on?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of thinking about your tribe too is I think we've all heard at this point, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And
Mm.
so who are you spending time with at work? Are you spending time with the negative Nellies that are just, by the water cooler, just complaining about everything and just life is so hard and all that stuff, and you can't get away from the conversation because you don't want to be a jerk? Or are you hanging out with people who see an upright and optimistic future, who are always trying to test and challenge the status quo to make things better and more interesting, and are helping you see your blind spots in a way of, from a productivity standpoint, not just a, how you suck at that, I don't, right? Versus, hey, how can I help you grow? And how can you help me grow? So I would challenge everyone to think about, who are you really spending time with? And are they the right people to help you grow? We always want to be there for other people. And I think as women leaders, we tend to be very good at that. Bringing up the next generation and being that nurturing, we may go head to head when it's peers and above, but so when you think about that, but let's think about who is going to help you grow. Where's that advisory board? I know one thing that really worked well for me, because I've definitely had to check my tribe more than once, where it's all smiles until you walk out of the room and then realize, oh, well, again, maybe not so much. But really is to co-deliver work. And if you can co-deliver work together, much like you and I are doing with this, right, which is so much fun, you learn, you grow, and then you're able to deepen that relationship. Versus, I think some of the superficial relationships that we have, even beyond just the social media stuff, where it's just like, yeah, connect and forget. But we tend not to go deep with a lot of the people that we want to spend the most time with, and we should.
Oh, wow, Tammy, you hit the nail on the head. That's where I was going to go next. And
Excellent.
that was those individuals that you either co-deliver with, as you mentioned. I love that. Or the five, that are really, you really only need one handful, right? That's
That's it.
enough. That's who you want to go deep with, right? And how do you know if they're providing insights, support, or opportunities to you? That's where you want to spend your time with and get vulnerable with and really establish those deep connections and relationships with. I love it. One last thing, Tammy, you mentioned the online piece. I think there is something to be said about the value we get from our online networks. And it's only valuable when you take them offline and you leverage them. Online networks are a great starting place. It's a great place, a great way to sort of do some research, to sort of figure out the lay of the land. But we want to use these strategically. Let's not just get on there and start pushing and selling, but let's really connect. So can you find those 5 people that are in your real network and figure out what they're doing online and contribute to that, right? Add voice to their commentary as a way to support them and the conversations that they find to be important.
Having that strong community has such far-reaching implications beyond some of the obvious things. So, Tiffany, where does this come into play based on what you've experienced?
Tammy, as a new leader, in my experience, stepping into a new role, new industry, new company, I'll never forget when I entered T. Rowe Price as a woman of color. That was I was in a VP role, a key leader role, and immediately I found a community, right? A business resource group, but they all looked like me. I didn't have, I didn't have a strong network built yet of various people that would get behind me and support me, right? So I think as we start talking about the power of our network and we start talking about promotions, you're going to need sponsors and allies, not those that just look like you. You have to make an impact across the organization. And so that became critically important. And I'll give you a for instance. So I was tasked, Tammy, with trying to come up with a solution. And it was as I reached across the organization, I found leaders that had achieved and accomplished similar things. reached out to them, nurtured the relationship, and they were more than happy to help me. They were always a phone call away, and it shortened the life cycle of delivering value. So the power of your network is your ability to mobilize and activate your network of people that aren't just like you, but people that have similar interests and that have a passion and are invested in your success. And so that's really important as we start thinking about the equity equation. How do you get promotions, Tammy? You need a sponsor. And
Yes.
you
Several,
need
right?
you need
Several sponsors.
several.
Yeah.
So as we go through our program, I know we're going to talk a little bit about sponsorship, what that looks like. How do you behave? What does your presence need to be so that you can get sponsors? And what do you do when you get them? And this is the difference between a sponsor and a mentor and an ally within your organization. So
Absolutely.
I'll take it back to you.
And it is interesting because we do share some significant pro tips on how to get that sponsorship. Because in many cases, for someone to want to advocate for you, whether it's a promotion, bonus time, comp changes, projects, the really cool projects, if someone that doesn't manage you is advocating for you, it's often at the expense of their own team. So how do you get them to want to do that? And that's one of the things that we'll cover during the masterclass.
Yeah, it's this conversation about the network. We're in an environment now, this world where we're planning for future proofing organizations, and there's this big push now towards organization sustainability. They're thinking about, if you're, depending on what sector you're in, succession planning and high potential employees. Well, how does your name get on the list?
And stay there, right? So
Stay there, right?
yes.
So when we start talking about making moves throughout the organization, your personal brand story that you're telling in your network is the one you want them to carry. So you have to work on that too. So we'll talk about all of that, how to put all of that together, but it is critically important. It matters because it touches your paycheck.
Absolutely. All right. So stay tuned for that stuff. Excellent feedback.
Tammy, that takes us to number 3, right? Our third strategy. And this really is around, I love you talked about the advisors and surveying the marketplace. So it's beyond just where you work. That means for those of us who are at the mid-level career place in our lives, we have to sort of look back. Where are those places that we have been, and stay connected with those key individuals? I never forget when I was about to do my my master's program, I contacted the CMO, Chief Medical Officer at Ohio Health, a 39,000 employer health system, but he was just a phone call away. And then he leveraged his network within the health system, and I got my advisor for my thesis. That only came because the relationship was strong. We have to continue to keep our tribe and nurture those relationships. Maintaining them is an ongoing effort, but it certainly is worth it. So stay informed. Know what moves people are making. LinkedIn is really great for that,
Great for
right?
that. You can cyber stalk away, right? So yes.
Hello. And then also what trends. I was on a phone recently with a leader I worked for, oh gosh, 15 years ago. He took my phone call,
Of
another
course.
key leader,
Yes.
global
Isn't that funny?
leader.
'Cause you're like, oh, they don't remember us. And then they're like, oh, wait, where have you been? This has been great. So totally.
And one of the pieces of advice he offered about leveraging your network, he said, Tiffany, it's going to be crucial as you start to continue to build your network in this new space you're in. Research and understand what's important to people. What are they doing? What have they done? What's their story? Why are they here now? And being able to, when you speak with them and connect with them, to talk about what's important to them. Know what's happening in the industry. So finance, if you're in finance, stay connected to what's happening in your industry, and then follow up, maintain that close connection, whether it's text, email. Phone calls are beautiful. And I'm not going to, I would be remiss if I talked about this. There is nothing like a handwritten note. Someone just had a baby, sending a note in the mail. Someone just got
Amazing how
married.
much of an impact that has, isn't it? Because it's so unexpected.
Right. So when we talk about owning our power, we're We're talking about how to get the max from what everything that everybody else is already doing. We're going to take you to another level. So again, those 3 strategies: 1, cultivating a mutual benefit with your power base. Number 2, know who's in your tribe. Be really strategic about building those relationships and curating your tribe. And third, when we talk about your advisors outside your current marketplace, consistent engagement is key. So as we start thinking about the power of your network, Tammy, I'll give it back to you to bring us home.
And we're all so concerned, right? We hear about the boys club and this and that. Well, there are girls clubs too, and there are co-ed clubs and all kinds of good clubs to be in. So, but it's up to us to build that. If we sit and wait to get invited or hope that someone remembers us, then we're going to be lonely for a bit. And when we get this right, here's what it feels like. You know, you have a tribe you can trust. And that advisory board, which is no judgment, knowing your blind spots, loving you enough to tell you that this is where you need to lean in on, and this is where you're probably not going to be the most effective, is the best tribe you could possibly have. You are suddenly going to be full of new ideas, because you're getting perspectives externally and you're having these conversations that are high value, high impact, and they'll trigger ideas. I know every time I have a really interesting meeting with someone, it makes me think of something I hadn't before. And I'm like, oh, hang on a second. This is cool. Let me, chew on that for a little while and see how that goes. You will now have the confidence of knowing you are one call away from anything. And that is such a liberating feeling. And then you're also going to have fun, because we are such people, right? If that makes any sense. And we need that connection and that humanity to really get the most out of our lives and out of our professional lives and everything else that we're doing. So why wouldn't you want this? And it takes less time and effort than you think to have this and to keep it going. And we show you exactly how to do this, plus much more, during the Own Your Power Masterclass, which is starting on October 1st, which is really exciting. We've recorded 2 other power moves. This is power move number 3. So go back and watch how to strengthen your voice and how to quantify your value if you've not seen them yet. We have 2 more that are coming up at a later date. Today, we are opening up registration for the Own Your Power Masterclass. So make sure that you click the link below to learn more, or reach out to Tiffany, because she is happy to have a conversation with you to see if this is right for you, for the members of your organization, and what we can do to help you own your power. Tiffany, any last words to bring us home here?
Yes, Tammy, the Own Your Power group, this mastermind group, if you don't have an advisory board, can definitely become one. If you're thinking about relationship capital, what that means, how you spend it, and how you save for it, this particular mastermind group is definitely for you.
Excellent. We'll see you soon.